Okay, hey everyone. We have Dr. Rick Joseph here today in the AI Innovation in Veterinary Medicine podcast. Dr. Rick, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
My pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me. Very
Of
excited to
course,
talk to
of
you.
course, of course. So I met you, Dr. Rick, in January via an introduction with my uncle. And since then, we've been talking. You've been using Vetrec, and we've been learning from each other. But why don't you tell our audience who are you and how long have you been in the space and anything that you want to share?
Absolutely. So, I'm a veterinary neurologist, and it's pretty exciting. This is my 40th year of practice. And, when I think about when I was younger and I was using dial-up phone, and I just have to tell you the story. Just it's off topic, but I had a dial-up phone, and I was a gas station attendant in my early teens. Like my first job, and they used to lock this phone at night so that you couldn't dial because I'd always want to try to call like my girlfriend. Maybe I was like 15 or 16, and so then I realized that you didn't need to dial. You could just tap the number. Where you hung the phone up, you had those two little prongs. And if you Morse coded the number, you were able to break through. So I just think back about how I was always challenged by technology in trying to figure out how we can break through some ways to optimize things. So I never became tired to learn, and I'm 67 now, and I remember lecturing years ago, and I would ask veterinarians, "Okay, let me show you a little about the smartphones," and there were still flip phones in the audience. They had those razor phones. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! We are like already into texting, and so." Bottom line is that for me it was a natural transition, that doesn't concern me. Probably texting was the thing that I found the hardest to adopt because I always liked the human contact experience. I didn't feel like, unless I spoke to somebody, that I really felt like I shared. Now I'm good. Now I'm good.
Oh,
I
that's
could text, I'm fine. So
uh,
anyway, that was my transition, understanding now and the impact of data.
Mhm.
Data right now, they say, is the new electricity. So and interrupt me at any point, but I started a telemedicine platform because I was introduced to telemedicine early on in my career when this cardiologist, Larry Tilley, started telephonic electrocardiography interpretations. And when I recognized that there can be some virtual ability to share knowledge, I said to my mentor, someday I'm going to be helping a veterinarian across the country while they're doing a neuro exam, and I'm going to be able to weigh in because I'm going to be looking over the shoulder with that vet. And
Yeah.
that had stuck in my mind. And as I went through my career, 17 years at a very large hospital in Manhattan, teaching, building my own specialty hospital, starting a mobile MRI business, doing online consulting for Vin, and now continuing with Antec. It was a natural transition for me to build this virtual hospital
Mm,
called Veterinary Vets on Call Network,
mm.
VOCN, as you see in back of me,
Yeah. Yeah.
building this virtual hospital where we do teleconsulting and we do teleradiology because that's been the foundation of telemedicine, as obviously everyone's familiar with teleradiology. But
Yeah.
what we're bringing to the forefront is telecoaching.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because first of all, like to interrupt you really quick, the amount of experience and knowledge that you had since your dial-up phone up until where you are today, it's like it's massive. Like the transition that you've gone through. One thing that I wanted to say is that you've been in New York, for your entire life. All of these experiences that you're saying, you've always been in New York.
My career, I was a psychology major
Oh,
for
wow.
2 years.
Wow. Okay.
I actually dropped out of my first biology course. For those people listening that may think that you have things figured out, I dropped out of my first biology course, changed to psychology, and after 2 years of psychology, I recognized that I can learn more psychology in a bar than I did in class. So then what happened was is I drove cross country with someone I met in college because I needed to take a break. Drove to California, spent about 3 months there, drove back and said, you know what? I want to get into the sciences, change my major, and I decided that I was going to become a vet. That's another long story. But through my career becoming a vet, then I had to make up for classes. So I was in Texas for one summer. I was upstate New York for one summer.
I
And
see.
then when I finally finished my degree, I could not get into an American vet school, so I went to Mexico. That was not a good experience, but this is just a 15-minute podcast,
Maybe
so
for
you'll have
round
to have,
two.
you need to have me back. Then I went to the Dominican Republic for 2.5 years and finally transferred back to Tennessee. So my path was not straight. I was always envious of others who just graduated vet school and went on, but my path was circuitous, which obviously we are all products of what was the best thing for us. So I don't look back and go, oh, I wish. I love my experience in the Dominican Republic. As you
Yeah.
know,
Wow, no, it's amazing. It's amazing the journey that you've had. But yeah, no, coming back to what you were saying, one of the very first things that you had shared when we first talked is this venture and endeavor that you're doing with AR glasses. And I think now that we're talking about AI innovation in the field, I wanted you to talk a little bit about that venture that you have going on and how do you see that transforming the practice and where can we go with that?
yeah, thanks for keeping this on track. So I tend to get sidetracked by
Yeah, no problem.
some of these discussions, but I want to say that one of the most important things to me at my stage of my career is to try to address the fact that there are a lot of pets that need care that may not be able to either make it to a specialist or be able to afford going to a specialist,
Right.
and that if that with augmented reality solution we can actually help veterinarians elevate their skill level, even technicians, not just vets, but elevate their skill level so they can do more for less money. So what
Hmm.
do we mean? How could we elevate their skill level? Well, augmented reality basically is having a remote expert being able to see exactly what the veterinarian or the technician is seeing on site. So if they're looking at a patient, the veterinarian, the remote expert can see exactly what they're looking at. Not only can they see what they're looking at, but let's say the remote expert's a surgeon and we have a veterinarian in surgery, they can see the surgical field. You can adjust the lighting so that you can see the contrast well, and you can actually circle things and point to things live and take screenshots and share diagrams or even videos so that you can instruct them immersively. Now, I didn't make this augmented reality up. There's actually a nonprofit in human medicine that's
Hmm.
using this technology. They used to go to Africa twice a year, and
Okay.
they would bring a team and teach them advanced surgical procedures.
I
But
see.
then they recognized that they couldn't accomplish as much as they wanted to twice a year,
Right.
and it was costing a lot of money. So they started to use Google Glasses, and then things morphed into a very sophisticated platform that now I can offer to the
Mm.
veterinary community. We're calling it veterinarian with an AR, VETAR, vet
Very
AR,
cool.
veterinarian.
Very. Mm.
And through this platform, the remote expert and the veterinarian can develop a mentor mentee program or interaction communication so that we can have our sights set on elevating the care, looking at for use cases. It's not only in surgery.
Yeah.
It
Right.
could
Right.
be
Right.
as immediate. It could be as immediate, like in a emergency setting, like in the emergency room, or it could be training ultrasound or bringing MRIs into practice.
Right.
I've coached neurologic exams.
Yeah, 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 because you're right there. And so that if we go a little bit in detail with that, that is through glasses that both the remote specialist and the veterinarian in the room have at the same time.
Good question. The remote, so the veterinarian wears the glasses, and the remote expert is standing is sitting behind a computer screen.
Beautiful.
They don't need the glasses.
Right.
They're sitting behind a computer screen, or they're looking on their smartphone or their tablet, wherever they are. They can connect. They don't have to be anywhere particular, the expert.
Got it.
You can also share a camera. So the veterinarian can share a camera in the OR. The
Right.
veterinarian can share a screen share of what the ultrasound is. So there's several different ways, not just the glasses, camera, or even a screen share can be used, so that the expert is seeing many different views of what it is that they're trying to learn from or be there. So you can actually take all of the screen views, and we can create learning tools. So instead of the
Right.
remote expert now guiding, you can take this camera feed and you can create a video teaching so that someone can wear virtual reality glasses, and they can learn a surgery and see what's happening in the OR and feel like they're in the OR and really immerse. And these are things that we're working on right now
It's awesome.
to try to take technology to the next level, as we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's very simple,
Yeah. Yeah.
very.
From yeah. Yeah, from dial-up phone all the way to AR glasses. I think now that you mentioned Vetric, just wanted to share that since the first time that we talked and we presented Vetric to you and you were using it, you were already pretty familiar with the whole concept of ChatGPT and AI and large language models. And hearing you right now with all of this depth of AR, like it's so good to see a veterinarian that's also an entrepreneur that knows about this technology with some depth. So just wanted to ask, and I think for our listeners as well, how did you get into all this, and how can people learn some of this technology step by step, I guess, or any advice that you might have, and how did you get into this technology and AI learnings that you already had when we first talked?
I think the first thing is not let your own biases stand in your way. I think sometimes I even see people around me, sometimes my technicians. In the very beginning, I created a chat GPT. I told you, I was like, why do I need you? I put you through the ringer. I was like, why do I need you? I got chat GPT. I
Yeah.
could take a history and I could put it in GPT. So, and I did. I showed you. And so I believe that one first has to take away their own biases and not let that stand in the way.
Mm.
Because with everything in life, there's good and there's bad. Sure, if you start worrying about AI and the fact that people with less experience are never going to learn like I did, it's too easy. sure, there's always plus and negative, but remember, Google, just searching on Google saves time. This is like Google on steroids, right? Because the amount of time that that AI can save us and the accuracy, we're using these products to be an assistant to us. And if I use your product, which I am extremely fond of, which even not only fond of your product, but fond of you and David, because you guys have been incredibly helpful in, number one, having me recognize why I should use your product in the exam room, because you really have packaged it extremely well. I mean, I love the fact that I know that there's a recording, multiple recordings, and there's a feed that I can look at and see, which helps me train, helps me know that I have all this data that I would normally never have.
Right.
And so for me, it's extremely important not to be afraid and to embrace it and to use your own, look at it, it's like it's your assistant. So the old way is, think how long it could take for you to try to duplicate what it is AI is doing for us now. And I want to say that for so many years, I wish that I had discharge instructions made for my clients. So many years. I owned a hospital, and I never was able to figure it out because it would take so long to make templates, and everyone was different. And yeah, we did discharges for inpatients, but the discharges for outpatients, I can't even believe that I never did. So your technology now, I could have 7 visits. I go into the exam room myself. I take my own history. I stop. I pause it. I then examine the animal, make my assessment, make my plan. I think about it before I communicate it. I turn on the recording. I communicate it. And then they let me, I tell the client, listen, I'm going to record this because I want to make sure I save time on my records. Then I'll give you a nice discharge. Surprised how quiet people can be. And then when I'm done, I stop and I ask them if there's any questions. And if they ask me some good questions, I go, okay, and I record it. But the most important thing people need to know is that this is done on the job. There's no better way to use VetRec than to learn to orchestrate your day around your recordings while you're talking to a client, because that's going to be the most efficient way for you to get your records done. And then I go back to my office. By the time I get there, it's all processed. I get my discharges. I modify it a little bit because I make sure that when I'm speaking, I'm clear, because my goal is to get those discharges. I'm sure we do.
We definitely have
I'm
more.
so
Thank you, Dr. Rick. No, I think the sky's the limit here, and with the applications like you're saying with AR and even wearable technology that we've sort of talked as well, how we can incorporate that with AI as well to even augment more. And I like how you said it, which I've also talked with other veterinarians. It's about augmenting. It's not about replacing. It's about augmenting. How can this technology help you achieve more? And that's where we really want to go. So thank you so much, Dr. Rick.
Think about it. There's people who want to have assistants record their conversations. Like someone who wants to see more patients, they may say, I don't touch a computer. They just type everything I say. But then what happens when they want to go on vacation? What happens if they, everyone in your staff wants that one person? VetRec, take the cost of VetRec, and the fact that they always show up, they can service everyone in your hospital, and divide all those numbers by what you're paying a month. You'll never get anything that's worth its weight. Plus, when you get back to data, data is only as good as the information you put in. If the whole world is going to say the same thing differently, then your data is never going to be clean. So if the whole world takes a history and they all take it in different ways, the data is not clean. When you use VetRec, you're getting clean data because you're getting it deciphered and put in a way that everyone will take histories and it will make it cleaner. And that's what I want to accomplish, because eventually the only way we get to predictive or precision medicine or personalized medicine, which is where they're going in human, is by clean data. So by the time I'm done with you guys, you're going to help me get it into my platform so that everybody who uses VetRec, the specialists on VOCN will benefit from these teleconsults because and harness this for the future.
For sure. Advancing the field through technology. This is awesome, and can't thank you enough for those words, Dr. Rick. So I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your time for coming here. We definitely need to do a round two because this was super fun. So thank you so much. Of course. Bye.